மக்களே, how are you?
Hello. Hi. Hi, Sam.
Hello, I'm super duper. How are you people?
நலம்.
Good. Topic polama.
போலாம். Today I thought we can discuss about toxic relationship. Dan. Do you guys have or have experienced toxic relationship amongst people you know or personally or generally what you consider as toxic relationships? All that fun topics. Tamil Film Mary.
Right. Topic seems heavy. Harni here. So, obvious toxic relationship, yes, like physical assault. On the standard, I think any relationship where you feel you're not growing or you feel that you feel so low of yourself. That's probably the definition of toxic relationship, according to me. Have you experienced Rosti? I think in shades, I've seen it. என்ன சொல்றது, this has to end அந்த மாதிரி இல்ல, but definitely in shades I think it is there in all of us.
Vidhu here. So I agree with most of your answer, Harini. But first, நீ சொன்ன தெரியுமா, there is no growth in the relationship. If there is something stopping you from growing in the relationship, then it becomes toxic. If you don't even try and you don't even grow, then that is the person's fault and it is not a toxic relationship. Is that what you are also trying to say?
Yes. What I meant was you're no longer growing. Relationship aspect personally. But again, yes, you're right. அது வந்து person fault இருக்கலாம், relationship fault இருக்கலாம், partner's fault இருக்கலாம், இல்ல friend fault இருக்கலாம். And most of the time, I think the toxic relationship is அது toxic ஆகிறதுக்கு major reason self, அந்த person தான். Like how you didn't know, so at some point you stopped knowing how to deal with it. அதுக்கப்புறம் unconsciously it is inculcated in you and awareness இல்லாம it started falling downhill. So yes, அதோட side effect வந்து yes, I agree with whatever you say.
Nice. Harini, though, when I was generally reading about it, apparently toxic relationship is different from abusive relationship, it seems. I didn't know that. And even the word like toxic relationship, I feel is relatively newish அப்படின்னு நினைக்கிறேன். நான் கொஞ்சம் வருஷம் முன்னாடிலாம் இதெல்லாம் கேள்விப்பட்டதில்லை. ஸோ உங்களுக்குலாமா அப்படி தானா, இல்லை யூ கைஸ் வேர் ஆல்ரெடி ஃபேமிலியர் வித் லைக் when you were in school, college?
ஆமா, அந்த வேர்ட்ஸ் எல்லாம் டேர்ம்ஸ் எல்லாம் டெஃபினெட்லி இட்ஸ் சோ நியூ. And நீ சொல்லிதான் எனக்கும் தெரியும் டாக்ஸிக் அபியூசிவ் டிஃபரன்ஸ் இருக்குன்னா. பட் இட் சீம்ஸ் when you say like this it makes sense. ஆனா எஸ், இதெல்லாம் வேர்ட்ஸ் ஆர் கம்ப்ளீட்லி நியூ when the concept itself is totally new though.
So Vidhu here, couple of follow-ups. So what is the difference between toxic and abusive relationships according to whatever you read?
இது வந்து like abusive relationship is like, I think it's like a high level of toxic in the sense toxic is a subset of abusive mari. It can be like physical, emotional, psychological abuse அப்படிங்கிறது. Toxic is more at a slightly lower level, like what she said, it affects your self-esteem or you're not yourself, you feel bad about yourself, அந்த மாதிரி இருக்கிற விஷயங்களால, where you feel you're taken advantage of or you give a lot more than you get, அந்த மாதிரி இருக்கிற all of those things come under this color.
Okay. So for me, the other part of your question, the terms are definitely very new, but I think the concept has been there in some way. இவங்க நமக்கு செட் ஆக மாட்டாங்க அப்படிங்கிறதே வந்து I think it's not just about the fun part, right? This is not my scene அப்படின்னு சொல்ற things or things that you don't agree with, things that affect you when you're forming relationships. And when I say relationships, I mean friendship. I mean all kinds of relationships, not just romantic relationships or even at work. It can be anything, any external connect that you have with any human being. Usually animals don't abuse, so let's stick to human beings. And ஒரு disclaimer from all of us, எங்களோட ஜென்ரல் நேச்சரே காமெடி பண்றது, சர்காஸ்டிக்காக பேசுறது அப்படின்னு ஆயிடுச்சு. அதனால ஈவன் இஃப் வி ஆட் ஹியூமர் இன் திஸ் டாபிக், இட் இஸ் நாட் டு டேக் அவே ஃப்ரம் த டாபிக், இட் இஸ் ஆர் நேச்சர் தட் இஸ் கமிங் அவுட் லைக் தட். ஸோ ப்ளீஸ் டு நாட் டேக் எனி அஃபென்ஸ். திஸ் இஸ் நாட் டு அஃபெண்ட் ஆர் ஹர்ட் எனி ஒன் இன் எனி வே.
Thank you for that disclaimer. நீ சொன்ன ஒரு பாயிண்ட்ல எனக்கு கொஸ்டின் இருந்தது. எனிதிங் வேர் செட் ஆகல ஆர் இது சொன்னல திஸ் இஸ் நாட் மை சீன் அப்படின்னு நான் சொல்லும் போதே பயங்கர மாசா இருக்கு. பட் யா, when you say those things, how do you differentiate that from like peer pressure? இப்போ sometimes when you go with a gang of friends, they might say yeah, let's do something, but you might not actually be comfortable with it. ஆனா not everyone can say or like can stand up to it and say no, I don't want to do it, or sometimes it's not acceptable or social norms, etc., right? அந்த மாதிரி have you guys felt that difference, or like how would you differentiate between not my scene versus peer pressure versus it could also be like someone is not open and they should try different things அப்படி?
Okay, this is a very nice way to discriminate or even to identify. So let's just talk about all those three things. One is peer pressure is definitely in a lot of ways toxic. In some ways, maybe you can see it as, bringing out the best in you or pushing you to do better. That is one aspect of it, but a lot of aspects of it are definitely toxic, in the sense certain times you are forced to do things that you would otherwise not do, in a bad way, not in a good way. In a good way, when it happens, it's fine. What are the other things that you said?
Yeah, I guess is there a way to identify the difference, I guess? Because what is good for one bad, on the part vanduronla. And the other one which I said was it could also help someone to be open up to new experiences. And yeah, it's like a weird thread, I feel, weird balance between the two.
Definitely. I mean, it is a weird balance. Vidhu here. So this is my take on this. When you're asked to do some activity, if you have never done it before, or you are just afraid of failing, the activity doesn't bother you, but you feel maybe I'll fail at it, so I don't want to do. Adu vandu in my head is being closed off. You're not trying it just because you feel maybe you'll fail or it'll become embarrassing and the madri. When you are inherently very uncomfortable just doing it, irrespective of the outcome, that doesn't align with your principles, or something feels totally physically, mentally, emotionally uncomfortable. It's not about the result. இது நம்ம நல்லா பண்றோம் பண்ணல அந்த கொஸ்டினே கிடையாது. For instance, if somebody asks you to, the example might be a little exaggerated, asks you to smoke. So if you feel okay, you're going to hurt yourself from doing that activity, அப்படிங்கிறது ஒண்ணு. It's your principle not to smoke அப்படிங்கிறது ஒண்ணுன்னு. So you are the best judge to decide whether you're just being closed off or if it is an actual toxic activity for you. Does it make sense?
Yeah, it does. And it's interesting that it kind of ties back to self-awareness and self-esteem, which again, it has to be inculcated from younger age, or at least, we should be aware that you're not self-aware. But yeah, I feel nee sonna points make sense and they are tied to these two main aspects. Harini, did you want to say something?
Yes, I agree with Vidhu's answer. Adding to it, I think, see, it's a very subtle difference. இப்போ நீ பண்ணாம இருந்தா the relationship will be at question. அப்படிங்கிறது it is toxic. It is extremely toxic. That they are with you, they support you through the journey. You're just anxious about it. They want you to have this experience as well. Or அவங்க happiness-காக you're okay to adjust consciously. That is different. That is okay. Ana, I think it takes an extreme toxic turn when it says that idu pannalana the relationship will not be there, or I will not be included in this group. அப்படிங்கிற அந்த approval expect பண்ண ஆரம்பிச்சா then it is definitely toxic.
Vidhu here, on what Harini just said. So if they are happy to compromise and do it, adhum there should be a threshold, right? If they change themselves for it, or if they are accepting the unhappiness, that is also toxic, is what I feel. What do you think?
Yes, true. And the acceptance not at the cost of losing your identity. Like you're okay with it. You are also enjoying it. At some point, you have started enjoying it. And the anxiousness cross panni, you also feel part of it. Maybe not the among the இன்னொரு person enjoy பண்ற அளவுக்கு இல்ல, but or the group enjoy பண்ற அளவுக்கு இல்ல, but you're okay with it. It's less anxious. அந்த மாதிரி journey தான் நான் சொன்னேன். Yes, if you feel you're compromising, I think that the loss starts from there.
Perfect.
Switching gears, do you guys think jealousy, possessiveness, அந்த மாதிரி இருக்கிறதுலாமும் comes under toxic relationship?
Vidhu here, absolutely. But everything has a threshold. அளவுக்கு மிஞ்சினால்
அமிர்தமும் நெஞ்சு.
So that is what I believe in. Envy, jealousy, possessiveness, dishonesty, lying in the relationship, all that beyond an acceptable limit is very unhealthy.
Okay, another question. Do you guys have any opinion on why people stay in toxic relationships? Like some people, they might like it or not like it. I feel like, again, one of the key takeaway is that awareness part, but still, do you think some people like it, or why are they still continuing it?
I think major reason probably is what next? சரி வெளியே போயிட்டா என்ன பண்றது? It's probably much worse. So the fear of unknownல அது. Second, I think it's extreme form of guilt ஒரு விதத்துல ஃபங்க்ஷன் ஆகுது இல்ல. அந்த டாக்ஸிக் ரிலேஷன்ஷிப்ல இருக்கிறதுக்கு ரீசனே I deserve itங்கிற மாதிரி யோசிச்சு கண்டினியூ பண்றது.
Interesting.
Yeah, Vidhu here. So I agree with what Harini said. On top of that, low self-esteem, financial reasons. There are a lot of times where one person is financially dependent on the other person. One other thing is that you brought about awareness. They don't even realize they are in a toxic relationship. A lot of times people don't talk about what is happening to them. There is a sense of shame associated with it. பிரிஞ்சு போறதுல again, that is also one more thing. They are not treated as victims. They are blamed. Even families don't accept their own kids when they come out of toxic relationship. இல்ல பரவாயில்ல நீ அட்ஜஸ்ட் பண்ணி இரு, ஊர்ல 4 பேர் என்ன சொல்லுவாங்க, அதெல்லாமும் adds up to it.
I think that's one place where the differentiation between abusive and toxic comes into play. Like, right nowadays, if anyone says I'm in an abusive relationship, maybe நீ சொன்ன பாயிண்ட்க்கு they may support you. They may say, yeah, I understand. Like, but abusive is more related to physical abuse, emotional abuse, அந்த மாதிரி இருக்குது. Whereas டாக்ஸிசிட்டிக்கு still அந்த recognition வரல, like அந்த அளவுக்கு அதோட இம்பார்ட்டன்ஸ் வரல அப்படிங்கிற மாதிரி இருக்கு, from the point that you said.
Absolutely, yes.
And also, I feel it's hard to determine toxicity, like the level of toxicity. See, one thing might be toxic for you, but not for the other person necessarily, by the way they take it. சில பேருக்கு அந்த ஒரு சில விஷயம் ஒரு பாசிங் கமெண்ட் பண்றதோ இல்ல ஒரு என்ன சொல்ல, ஐ மீன் ஐம் ஜஸ்ட் டேக்கிங் as an example, it can be extreme, சின்ன விஷயமா இருக்கலாம், அது ஒருத்தர் பாதர் பண்ணாமே இருக்கலாம், இன்னொருத்தவங்களை மேபி இட்ஸ் bothering so much that they can't even face it. So I think it's hard to determine the level of impact it will have in a person.
True, very true.
So are you saying like they would have to communicate? I mean, in case in the point that Jiddu said, you want to come out of the relationship because it's toxic and both, they would have to communicate how it affects that person. I mean, solriya?
Yes. See, அதான் ஒரு சப்ஜெக்ட் வரலன்னா என்ன பண்ணுவா அந்த மாதிரி தானே. Yes, you can try all the options. You can change yourself. You can try and understand it. Come out of it. See what's a mistake, what you can change and go back. அது எதுவுமே பண்ணியும் ஒர்க் ஆகலைங்கிறது போது இதை கிளியரா சொல்றது தான். அண்ட் அது அதர் பர்சன் ஹேஸ் டு அண்டர்ஸ்டாண்ட் அந்த புட் தெம் இந்த இஷ்யூங்கிற மாதிரி தான். நம்மளுக்கு வலிக்கலைங்கிறதுனால இட் இஸ் நாட் நெசரி தட் அதர் பர்சனுக்கும் வலிக்கலன்னு. தே ஹேவ் டு அண்டர்ஸ்டாண்ட், அவ்வளோதான். இதுல இட்ஸ் ஸ்ப்ரெடிங் அவேர்னஸ், ப்ராப்ளி ஸ்பீக்கிங் ஆன் அ டெய்லி பேசிஸ் அபவுட் இட்.
So I've heard victims of abuse nu solrangalla, like, but not just physical abuse. A lot of people that I've read about or heard, they've mentioned this, that they never realized they were in an abusive relationship. From toxicity we have slightly moved to abuse, but this applies to toxicity also. When they went through it, they didn't realize what was happening to them. When they spoke about it to somebody else, and from their reaction only they realized, oh, okay, namakita namakku edo thappa nadakudhu, this is not the norm for everybody ne appada realize pannangangiradha I've heard.
Yes, I also feel the same. It's hard to judge illa, ena adu நீ சொல்ற மாதிரி இன்னொருத்த பேசுற போது இல்ல இன்னொருத்தவங்க வெளியே இருந்து அப்சர்வ் பண்ணும் போது தான் I think you will know if you're toxic or abusive, or even the person has changed so much that they don't recognize themselves. All these things I think people will only realize when they can speak to someone, or third person perspectiveல மட்டும் தான் தெரியும்னு நினைக்கிறேன்.
Interesting. Sila, one more aspect on the same thing, I've noticed in some movies where they say, like, you'll realize someone gets into a toxic relationship. Initially, the reason they got into it was because they like the attention they get. Like, it could be, possessiveness or whatever it is, right? And the marriage aspects, or they care for you too much, but then it takes an ugly side. Because of the attention they get, they initially like it, and again, I feel it's related to self-esteem, but still, and then it takes a bad turn. Do you guys think like that mirrors with real life?
Yeah, we do here. Definitely. The problem I see happening is, initially, like you said, it's all fun and games, so everybody does it. And then when it starts to get you, even if one person in the relationship calls this out, that, this is not okay, abdin solumbodhu, a lot of times the answer from the other side is, idu na first lande ipdi dhaan irundiruken, ana you didn't mention anything. Ipo mattum enna thidirnu? How do you even come back from this? This is what happens in real life, I feel, based on what example you gave me. And I've seen this happen so many times, even in friendships, in my own friend circle, that people don't accept change, or people don't accept new boundaries.
True. I agree with that boundaries part, right? Like, as we change, our boundary limits change, and yeah, it's hard to accept that. And, even if you communicate, sometimes it's hard. So I agree with that. ஒரு லைட் நோட்ல, do you guys ever feel, இப்போ some of the movies, பழைய காலத்து மூவிஸ் பார்க்கச்சே, இது என்ன இவ்வளோ டாக்ஸிக்கா இருக்கு அப்படின்னு ஏதாவது தோணியிருக்கா?
பழைய காலத்து மூவி இல்லை, எனக்கு ரீசெண்ட் மூவிலே இதெல்லாம் தோணிருக்கு.
You stole my words. I feel நிறைய அதுல toxicity is masked in the form of love or extreme closeness. And that's portrayed in movies. It is there. And idhula there are no specific villains or specific person who is doing a mistake. It is all shades of grey. So it's hard to identify, and it's glorified, I think.
Absolutely on point.
This was a very different episode for me. Like, I think I saw different aspects to it, and it was a new topic for me as well. For me, the key takeaway was like being self-aware, how important self-awareness is, and self-esteem as well. Like if your self-esteem is intact, a lot of these could be avoided, or you would have like a stronger standpoint அப்படின்னு நினைக்கிறேன் நான். So thank you for that, guys.
I think personally, எனக்கு இது toxicity can be in anywhere. It can be in friendship or in any relationship or anywhere. So the basic way to come out of it is to talk about it, and also when you feel bad, it is நம்ம நினைக்கிற தப்பா கரெக்டாங்கிறதே தெரியாதப்ப it is to seek that opinion and someone saying that we are going through the same thing, இல்ல வந்து yes you are thinking right and you are not doing any mistake அப்படின்னு சொல்றது வந்து it will help you to come out of it. That is my key takeaway of this episode as well.
Perfect. So என்னை பொறுத்த வரைக்கும் two main markers for this would be generally being happy in any relationship, and self-esteem and self-awareness Sam has already mentioned. A little bit of self-respect as well. Like you shouldn't feel low about yourself unless it's something of your own doing. And another thing is definitely to be able to talk about it. There should be no shame associated with any of these things. If that happens, that is for a better tomorrow. So with that hope, see you in the next episode of Coffee, Tea, Vodka.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.